if no one knows about you or your business, how are they ever going to buy from you? And it's ridiculous in this day and age where we have social media, we have podcasts like this, you have so many channels in which you can share about your brilliance. And if you're not utilizing them, you will get left behind in 2026. What is up? Brand on Fire podcast is back. I'm so excited. Where do I even begin? We did our last episode in November of 2021, and a lot has changed since then. Let me tell you, it was that like 4.5 years ago. So let's get into it. This was going to be very conversational. I am just so stoked that we're in the area of like, let's sit down and have a conversation versus having everything like perfectly mapped out. And I'm telling you this because I don't want you to be afraid to go live, to film a reel on Instagram, to start your own podcast. Like, let it be naturally you. And that's how we're going to roll with Brand on Fire moving forward. So what's changed since 2021? So much for me personally and professionally, and I'm sure for you too. We were in the midst of COVID in 2021. I had been married for about a year, and I was about 20 pounds heavier, honestly. So a lot's changed since then. Been married now for 5.5 years. Marriage is going strong, feeling really good about that. We got married like right in the middle of when COVID started. So it's been a fun journey, and it was fun really like diving into a marriage in that sort of cocooned kind of place. So really had a great time with that. Obviously, to me, COVID didn't even really end until about like a year, maybe a year and a half ago. And I don't know what your business was like back in 2021, 2022, and 2023, but ours was just like rocking. And so like as far as that goes, like personally, I think a lot has changed. Got back into the gym. We're still humming with the agency, obviously. And really, I think we're in an era in 2026 where oh my gosh, AI did not even exist then. So we're in an era now where you have to be real. People are going to want community. We're in a window right now of opportunity where we don't know where AI is really headed and how much of a role it's going to play across all industries. But it's moving, and it's moving fast. And I'll probably film a whole episode on that. But right now we're in this window where people want real conversations with real people. They don't want anything that's overly produced, because that human connection is just so important. So, so much has changed in the last 4.5 years since we last did an episode. And I'm excited to see what's coming forward. So what didn't change? What didn't change is that business still requires you to show up and show up consistently. And I know you probably hear consistent. Be consistent all the time. That should be a no-brainer. This should be like baseline consistency. What hasn't changed is really business and marketing fundamentals. And something I'm super stoked about in the next coming episodes, I'll be sharing a lot more, is audience growth. Everyone is kind of like fixated on social, but I really believe email is not dead, and it can be one of your greatest assets as far as taking an audience and selling to them. Both are important, don't get me wrong, but those business fundamentals of staying in the game, being consistent. I think a lot of people are going to fade out of business this year because it's going to require showing up more often and hanging in there. And you really need to have the stamina to do it. And you know what? I'll toot my own horn at this moment where I've run this business since 2010. I've seen a lot of industries come and go, a lot of changes, a lot of flashy, fun, shiny objects come and go, economies change, politics change, et cetera, et cetera. So if there is one thing I am, it is tenacious. And so I invite you to hang in there, stay steady, keep showing up, even if your metrics don't show results right away. Hang in there. It's the person who stays visible, stays audacious, stays in leadership that is going to win this year for sure. So what actually works now is not being performative and not being overly contrived or thinking you need to write a script. Let's talk about what you want to talk about. Let's integrate it into what you're doing and what's in your industry. For example, I'm very much into the gym right now. And so to me, everything relates back to that. And I, even with marketing strategies and tactics, I'm thinking, okay, this is something I've come to just have a picture of recently where you think you're doing it. Because there was a long period, a stretch of time where I really struggled. I thought I was eating clean. I thought I was eating right. I thought I was working out enough. But not until I tracked it did I really know where I was and which levers to pull to have better results. Let me explain. So for example, until I started tracking my calories and my macros, I thought I was eating well, but I was snacking here and there, or I'd pull in a treat and didn't really realize the impact that had on my everyday diet and on the goal that I actually had. So once I started tracking and really looking at, okay, calories in, calories out, simple math. Did I understand where I was maybe overeating or not eating enough protein? Protein gains. It's all I hear about anymore. And so you have to adjust. And the same thing applies to your marketing. If you're not tracking, are you actually getting leads from social? Are you actually getting leads from email? Are you actually sending enough emails? Are you actually posting enough? Are you actually saying things that aren't boring and vanilla and taking a stand and having not necessarily a disruptive attitude, but one that's hey, this is how it's actually working. And I stand by that because I have proof. So you have to see what's actually going on a numbers basis and on your response from your audience to know, oh, maybe I needed to be doing a little bit more in this area and a little bit less over here. So, and then for example, also, I thought I was working out enough, but now that I'm actually working out and now that I'm actually eating the right things, I see I wasn't really doing it. So, sorry, don't kill the messenger, but you might think that you're visible online, I'm putting up air quotes, but you might not actually be doing enough to get to the goal and the result that you're actually looking to achieve. And so it's really important to work with someone and or gauge, have a mentor from someone who's done it, of what actually gets you the results that you want. Maybe you need to be writing more emails and putting them out to a list, even if your list is small. There's still buyers on that list. They rose their hand at some point to receive information from you. Maybe you need to be posting different content to social media. Maybe you need a better customer journey funnel in place, because whatever you're doing right now isn't currently working. And, we've all heard the definition of insanity. Albert Einstein, I think, said it. It's like you do the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. That is the definition of insanity. So there might be one small tweak. Usually it's in your messaging. Usually you're trying to look to please the masses, too large of an audience, and you're not really narrowing in on your ideal client and speaking to them directly. I could go on and on and on about this. There's so much here. Let's get into it then. So I would rather you go an inch wide and a mile deep than a mile wide and an inch deep. So if you really know who your ideal client is, you need to know what words they're saying, how they're talking, what's important to them. Why are they waking up at 3 a.m? What are they nervous about? What are their aspirations? And you need to talk to all of those things specifically. I think I added an extra syllable there. We've seen this work, and I've seen this work personally for myself, where if I'm too broad, if I'm trying to really reach multiple industries, multiple types of people, then my messaging gets diluted, and yours is too. But when I say the exact phrases that people are saying when they're on sales calls with me, or they're asking me particular questions about marketing, or responding to me in the DMs, that's when someone has a light bulb go off in their head, like, oh my God, is Jessica inside my head right now? And that's what you want your audience to be thinking and feeling, really, quite frankly, feeling. The way you do that is you have to pay attention and make it less about you and more about listening to what people are actually saying to you, and use those words verbatim. I think it's hard because it feels like ingrained on a cellular level for me, but I think a lot of people don't do this and they miss the mark. They're trying to sound smart, which they are, or they're using jargon that's particular to them. Maybe I'm thinking like, maybe you're in operations, you're a fractional COO, and you're using words that cause major discomfort for a CEO. They don't want to think about spreadsheets. It's spreadsheets that stress them out. They want to think about, and they even the idea of systems probably freaks them out, stresses them out. I'll speak from my own experience. They want to know, like, how are you going to get relief? How are you going to make it so the buck doesn't always stop with me, even if it actually does? Like, if you can paint the picture of removing that obstacle and removing that one initial problem, and then getting people to understand that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and that light at the end of the tunnel is you. You're the one that solves the problem. But you have to talk about the problem, and you have to talk about how you are the solution to that problem in a very clear, not cute, clear, in a very clear and direct way. So that's what's working right now in 2026. Having conversations, being real, human to human, in the world where AI is growing more and more and more. You be the one that sticks out as like the go-to BFF in whatever your particular industry is. And don't be overly scripted or contrived or performative. Sit down like you're talking one-on-one to a client, to someone who really needs your help, someone that you can really serve, and talk to them directly and just have a chill conversation about it. It doesn't need to be stressful. It doesn't need to be all hyped up. It can be, if that's your vibe, if that's your energy. And being clear and not boring. Be clear instead of cute. Like people want to have some cute, quippy type of, one-liner tag, whatever. Or I help you manifest the life of your dreams. Well, that's so vague and not precise. Or I help you lose weight. Well, how about I want to look good in a bikini on my next vacation? Like that is like, yes, that I can connect to. I can see myself. So you see the difference? Like, of course, a woman wants, you're a coach, a wellness or a fitness coach or a peptide coach. Of course, they want to lose weight. Yes, that is the overarching maybe goal in this particular example. But really what's going to land and have the viewer or the audience put themselves in the shoes of what you're saying is if you get really specific, like look great in a bikini come summer. Stop pinching your sides every time you walk by a mirror, those types of examples. So it's much more connecting and relatable if you can really give an example and show. So we're over the air of cute. We're more concise and be a little polarizing and stand for what you believe in and share that thing. And if you're scared, I get it. I don't necessarily come from the camp of I want to be plastered all over the internet or social or anything like that. I get it. But I'm also going to tell you to get over yourself. And if no one knows about you or your business or the service that you provide, how are they ever going to buy from you? And it's ridiculous in this day and age where we have so much available to us. You don't have to, I always joke, like back in the day, you had to buy a TV spot, a billboard, a radio spot, a magazine spot. And now, and those were really expensive, by the way. Only big brands typically had the cash to shell out for things like that. Otherwise, you were going door to door, maybe doing a direct mailer. Not against a direct mailer, but we have social media, we have YouTube, we have podcasts like this. You have so many channels in which you can share about your brilliance and your expertise. And if you're not utilizing them, you will get left behind in 2026. And the window of saturation, it's coming. So now's the time, my fellow friends. So get on it. Brand on Fire is back. We're going to be talking about all things audience growth and monetization and strengthening your brand, your personal brand. So this is, I don't know, I was just riffing today. I wanted to get back into it. Here we are. So much has changed since our last episode for me personally, as well as in the world. And things will always continue to change. And so I'm here for it. I will be sharing with you fun marketing updates, how to tackle those problems of being clear in your messaging, what to do for audience growth, email list growth. It's still a thing. And some of those tried and true avenues of marketing that still work today. So keep listening. I have a couple episodes dropping. And I'm so excited to be back with you in this way. Talk to you soon.